Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so thankful that you are all here. We're going to wait a few minutes while people have a chance to join. I cannot believe that it's already August. I'm super excited that we have all of these folks joining today. I'm Vanessa, for those of you that don't know me. I have Smita here, one of the co-founders, Sally, co-founder.
Hi.
We're joined by Caitlin Christine, who is an incredible leader in the coalition and all around great person, and Betsy as well, who's a leader and also instrumental in all of the advocacy efforts that we do, as well as representing her organization that is so supportive of the Breast Cancer Coalition efforts. So it's going to be a good day of conversation and some updates. I'll give it a minute or two. How is everyone today? Oh, I guess we can use this opportunity to tell everyone that our very own Sally Wolf was featured on CNN. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that someone can put it in the chat. And if you do look at it, I hope that you will share it very wide on all your social media channels, as she is deserves to be famous.
Thank you. And I'll just jump in and quickly say Sarah Seidner was incredible and such an ally, in this case for me with metastatic breast cancer, but also just has shared her story, throughout and in a very generous way to help people understand what it's like to go through breast cancer. So I'm hopeful as I continue to talk with her to perhaps, bring her into this group as well.
We love that. That is great. Well, we have a packed schedule, so we're going to get started. And of course, there will be a recording of this that the G2G folks will put on YouTube when this is done. And so you're welcome to share this. We encourage you to do so. And you can go back and, you know, see the whole thing again if you want to. Again, my name is Vanessa Joy Walker. I'm a co-founder of the Breast Cancer Early Detection Coalition. I'm also a proud member of the BRCA2 family. So I have that genetic mutation. I've also experienced cancer twice. I've had breast cancer twice. And that's really what brought me to this work. People often say to me, "Oh, it's so great you're an advocate." And I always tell people this is not the life that I would have chosen for myself, but it is the life that life chose for me, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. Today, we're going to hear, as I said, from Caitlin. Betsy's going to weigh in on some things, and we're going to let you know about some exciting events that are coming up in the fall. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Caitlin to you. Caitlin Christine is someone that you might have seen before. She was generous enough to share her lived experience with us a couple of years ago, maybe even right at the beginning of the coalition when we started. But she's back to share a little bit more about what's been going on in her life. One of the things that that resonates so much with me with Caitlin is that she's like me in the way that, her calling kind of chose her by circumstance. It's kind of like crisis to career and what she's been able to do and what she's chosen to do, really, with her life is really remarkable. But she's also a good example of the fact that, this journey doesn't stop when we stop with treatment, and especially when it touches the people that we love the most. So, Caitlin is also the CEO and founder of Gabby, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that. So, Caitlin, I'm so happy you're here.
You. Thanks, Vanessa. It's been such a privilege being part of the coalition on the leadership team, and very happy to share more aspects of my story today with the group.
Great, awesome. Well, for people that don't know you, number one, definitely Google her and definitely Google her company. Someone will put the link in the chat. But tell us a little bit about, yourself and what brought you to this work.
Sure. In fact, I can put it in the chat right now, my company. Um, I absolutely what you said, Vanessa. I never thought that I would start a company, let alone in healthcare. And everything changed when my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was in college at the time, and because I've shared this aspect of my short story before, I will keep it shorter. But essentially, my mom had been getting annual mammograms when, in fact, she was high risk and had extremely dense breast tissue and should have been getting uh, breast MRIs in addition to annual mammography. And so that's why her breast cancer was found too late. It was in every organ and could have been caught earlier had she been getting breast MRIs, but wasn't. And by the time she got diagnosed and it was in every organ, she was gone less than 8 months later. And so that is ultimately what led me to learn more about my own breast health, discover that I was also high risk, and discover that I had lumps in my breasts. And ultimately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at just 24, a year and a half after my mom had died of the same disease. And so that is what plummeted me into healthcare. I wanted to understand what was going wrong. Was this only happening to my family? And that's when I learned that no, in fact, it wasn't. It was affecting millions of families across the world every year. And to me, the problem was really simple. It was that women didn't know their risks. And in most circumstances, neither did the providers who were taking care of them. And so that is what led me to start Gabby, named after my mom, Lisa Gabrielle. And our whole mission is to ensure that every woman knows her risk and has access to early detection. So the way we do that is really twofold. We've created a proprietary risk model that can predict a woman's future risk of breast cancer. We put an incredible interface on it, so it's really easy. It doesn't use any clinical jargon and is really quick, so that in 3 minutes you can learn what your future risk of breast cancer is. And then from there, we connect you to one of our breast specialists via telehealth, who now in a telehealth visit that's covered by most major insurance, we create a comprehensive cancer prevention plan and are able to order what you may need. So order that breast MRI because you have extremely dense breast tissue, or order genetic testing because there could be a familial component. And our ultimate goal is, by doing that, by ensuring you know your risk, by getting you access to the right type of specialist as quickly as possible, we can ensure if there's a breast cancer diagnosis that it happens early when it's life-saving.
Wow. I mean, it's just so incredible what you're doing. Uh, I think about what I was doing when I was 24 years old. I was diagnosed with breast cancer early, but not that early. And the fact that, after being diagnosed, I think you said you had triple negative breast cancer, correct? Yeah. That you,
Correct.
were able to that you had this vision and that you went after it. I mean, that says so much about who you are as an individual, your tenacity, your badassery, I guess we can say, but also that, cancer changes your life forever. Yeah. And for a lot of people, like I know Smita, one of our co-founders, and Sally as well, that, it doesn't just touch you, it touches the people that you love the most. And I know that this has been something that has not only affected your mom, but really your whole family. And part of the reason that you were not absent from life, you were very active in life, but absent from these calls for a short period of time, was because you were focusing on someone who you love dearly, who's pictured here today, your Aunt Monique. And I'd love for you to tell us about her. You've told me a little bit about her. She sounds like an amazing person, and like she poured into you during a period of your life when you really needed that. And you were able to pour back into her at the end of her life.
Thank you. Yes, this is my Aunt Monique and I berry picking in Oregon in 2024. Yes, when she came to visit me. At the time, I had been living in Portland, Oregon. Um, yeah, this is something unexpected that happened, and a great example of just the impact that breast cancer has on a family, and in my family in particular, continues to have ripple effects. My aunt is my mom's sister and also had her heterogeneously dense breasts, but she was only getting mammograms. And even, with me as a resource and her losing her sister, she really trusted her doctor. And that's not a bad thing. We should be able to trust our doctors. It was her GP who she'd been seeing for over 30 years. So there was a lot of trust there. But, one of the things that I've come to discover in starting Gabby, and we work a lot with primary care and OBGYN physicians, is that in the US healthcare system, we put a lot of responsibility on those primary care and OBGYN physicians. And as guidelines change and get updated on top of everything that they have to get done in less than 10 minutes when they see you in an annual, it's essentially impossible to cover everything and just stay on top of all the changing guidelines for everything that they're supposed to talk to you about. And so her general practitioner, who she trusted, was regularly ordering annual mammograms when what she needed in addition was a breast MRI. And so in 2024, she was diagnosed with breast cancer and it was stage 4. And for someone who's getting annual imaging, there's no reason for her to be diagnosed with a stage 4 breast cancer. So that was kind of the first thing that was really tough is, here I am again with another family member who's diagnosed too late. Right. And I knew what the implications were. And she went through a mastectomy and radiation and chemo, all things that likely could have been avoided had she been getting the appropriate screening for her risk level.
I mean, I said this to you, I've said this to you privately, that, I'd like to think that this is a unique experience, but unfortunately it's not a unique experience. And I think that's why we're all here today. Because as you said, there's a lot of things we don't know in the world, but there are a lot of things that we do know. And one of the things that we do know is that mammograms aren't enough for everyone. Mammograms are good. They're a great tool. We're glad we have them. But as you said, there's no reason that she should have been diagnosed so late.
Yeah, we have the tools, we have the technology to detect breast cancer. It's just a matter of, are we using the right tool for the patient based on their risk level?
So, so she was diagnosed the first time and then she
had a mastectomy, chemo, radiation, and she went into remission.
Right.
But she still needed to stay on top of rigorous screening.
Right.
And unfortunately, she was told by her doctor that insurance wouldn't cover more comprehensive full body scans, which is what she should have been getting with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that was triple negative. And at the time, after going through this, in addition to some other personal factors that were going on in her life, she didn't have the energy to advocate for herself with her doctor or with insurance. And so she didn't really push back or ask any questions about that type of imaging that she was getting or the cadence. And this is really another example of where advocacy matters. Asking questions and challenging the answer, getting a second opinion if something doesn't feel right. And ultimately, she started slurring her speech about a year and a half later. And we discovered that the breast cancer had metastasized to her brain in February of this year. And they found multiple brain tumors also along her spine, all of which could have been caught sooner had she been getting the appropriate imaging. And from finding these brain tumors, she died short 8 weeks later. So it's just another example of how important it is to, I think, learn your risk and be getting the appropriate screening based off of your risk level, I think is the first learning from her first diagnosis. And then the second is just how important advocacy is and asking questions. And what's really hard about what happened with my aunt is that life happens. And I don't know about you, Vanessa, but for me, the first thing that falls to the bottom of the barrel when I'm stressed out and lots of things are going on, both professionally and personally, is my health. You know, I just canceled my transvaginal ultrasound last week and
Right.
need to reschedule it because I needed to take a work thing. Like,
because
it's so
because transvaginal ultrasounds are so much fun.
right, right. And
No, but
so
it's true.
it's like it's the first thing that falls to the bottom of the barrel. And unfortunately, this is what can happen when we continue to let it fall to the bottom of the list.
Well, I think you made such, so many really important points. And first, I just want to say thank you for sharing all of this with us so close to, the passing of your aunt. I mean, it's incredibly generous. I always like to say when people share their lived expertise with us publicly, because it takes a little piece of you, even after you've done it hundreds and hundreds of times, it takes a little piece of you. So do something nice for yourself today, because you've done something nice for all of us. But I think you make a really good point about advocacy, that advocacy looks different every single day for every person. And sometimes it means showing advocacy. It shows up in your doctor's office. It can show up in your workplace. It shows up in your family. It's not all about, what happens federally or at the state level. Although that's very, very important. Um, Advocacy can look different for every single person. And sometimes I think, when we have someone here who's started a nonprofit, or you who started a company, people can get overwhelmed and think, oh, if I'm going to do this, then I have to quit my job and, start a new company. But if that's not your calling, you don't have to do that. But there are things that you can do. And I love when we talked earlier, you said, well, I can't really talk about every kind of advocacy. And I said, well, but you can talk about your kind of advocacy. And what you wanted to do was make a difference in a space, and you understood what your skills were and you leaned into that area. And so I always encourage people to do that. Um, so if there's one thing that, I know there's probably a million things, but if there's one thing that you can share with individuals that are on this call, about how you felt the first time you did federal advocacy, what would you
Overwhelmed.
share?
I
Overwhelmed.
mean,
Okay.
oh my gosh, it's just talk about something I knew absolutely nothing about. For me, it was I need to put my student hat back on, which it's been a while since I've been a student, and just try and learn and ask lots of questions. And I know, Vanessa, I peppered you, I peppered Sally, I peppered Liz with like, okay, give me the 101 on policy advocacy. And so I've learned so much. But yes, I would say the first was overwhelm, but it's all knowable.
Right.
Like there are so many resources. It's relatively easy to understand. You just have to enter it as a student to learn how it works, and talk to other people about what's been successful. And then I think the second is it's incredibly rewarding to get to have these conversations with policy makers, and generally they respectfully listen to what you have to say. They may not get behind what you're trying to advocate for, but it's pretty powerful to be up on Capitol Hill and get to share a story or share something you're passionate about, and have these individuals listen to you. And then best case scenario, they get behind you and you get to work on something that can have huge impact across the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could talk to you all day, but I know we have a few more things to get to, but I think that's a great place to kind of wrap things up, and a reminder to everyone that just even showing up today is part of your advocacy journey. And we are so grateful that you're a part of our community, and that you continue to advocate, and you continue to share your lived experience, and that you've dedicated your life to this. And I count it a privilege to count you a friend and a fellow advocate. So thank
Thank you, Vanessa. That goes both ways.
you. Thanks. Wow. Well, it's hard to like move on from that, because that was just so powerful. And I think we talked about so many things that are so important to everything that we do here at the coalition. We're going to do a quick update on our advocacy efforts. I asked Betsy to jump on and share a little bit because she is always so knowledgeable about what's happening. She's always in the weeds. So Betsy, I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit
Sure.
about from your perspective, what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Vanessa. And thanks, Caitlin, for sharing. One of the reasons that I am passionate about this issue is my aunt as well, Lynn, who I lost 8 years ago to metastatic breast cancer. So she is one of the reasons that I love doing this work, because I want to make a difference like we all are here. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Betsy Tower. I am on the government affairs and policy team at GE Healthcare. I've been at GE 18 years. So I've been working on a range of issues, but for the last several years, been working with a number of you on this call to really push for legislation that will impact what we've been talking about today. So the Early Act is one that is very close to being finished. They just need time on the Senate floor. As you can see here, it already passed the House. It was almost unanimous. I mean, 394 to 6 in the House, and then on July 16th, it went over to the Senate. Out of the Help Committee, it passed on July 16th. So they really just need floor time to get that done, which hopefully will happen when they come back in September, come back from this August recess. And then the Find It Early Act. We've been pushing this is the third session of Congress that this has been introduced, and we've been pushing for it, and we will have to once again reintroduce this in the 120th Congress. It is, to be honest, unlikely it will get the attention it needs to get passed between now and December, but we are really working hard to build momentum to get more and more co-sponsors and on both the House and Senate side to really build that momentum when it is reintroduced. And depending on what happens with the November midterm elections, if the Democrats take control in the House, I think that there will be more likelihood that it will get brought, to the floor for an actual vote in the 120th Congress. So very optimistic there. If you want to go to the next slide.
We're going to have our Hill Day coming up, which we're super excited about. We had an incredible Hill Day last year, and we're having another incredible Hill Day. And Betsy has been instrumental in helping plan this incredible event. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now, and you can register for the Hill Day. It will be on September 23rd. The cool thing is that the menopause and perimenopause group with Women's Health Advocates will be having their Hill Day the day before. So if you're passionate about both things, I encourage you to come to DC and be a part of that. But remember that you can always be a part of it, sending letters and also doing virtual meetings. That is something that everyone can do. So certainly scan that QR code. I really want Betsy to tell you about the incredible congressional breakfast event, Capitol Hill breakfast discussion. I guess that's what we're calling it.
We're calling it a breakfast discussion instead of a congressional briefing, but the idea is the same. And we essentially want to fill this room. We have the privilege of being in the Library of Congress, and in part because we have partnered with Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is our congressional sponsor. As you know, she is the leading advocate on breast cancer early detection on Capitol Hill. The Find It Early Act is, co-sponsored and co-led by Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican out of Pennsylvania, and Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, Democrat out of Connecticut. They will be invited to come, as will Klobuchar and Marshall, the Senate co-sponsors. But really, we want to fill those seats with health policy advisors from the Senate, health LAs from the House. So those front seats are going to be filled with staff, and then anyone coming for the Hill Day for the Breast Cancer Early Detection Coalition, of course, is welcome to join in those back seats. But I'm really excited about the panel. Many of you know Dr. Rachel Brem of the Brem Foundation. I know Claire, the CEO of Brem, is on. I've been working closely with Claire and Dr. Brem for years on advocacy. The panel will be moderated by my colleague, Julie Hamilton, who leads our automated breast ultrasound business. Joanne Pushkin, as many of you know, who may be on today, is the executive director of densebreastinfo.org. Jennifer Mersdorf is the CEO of the Young Survival Coalition. And the reason I chose September 23rd is because this is the day of the 18th annual Congressional Women's Softball game that's taking place at Audi Field the Young Survival Coalition is the recipient of the funds that are raised by that annual fundraising event. Molly Guthrie with the Komen, Susan G. Komen, who runs their Center for Public Policy, and then Jacqueline Beal, who will be representing National, Cancer Society Action Network. So really excited for that discussion. We'll have, Debbie Wasserman Schultz will be giving remarks. I know Liz, our leader in women's health advocates in this coalition, will be giving closing remarks likely. So really excited to have an impact on this important discussion. Of course, we'll be talking about legislation. I didn't put that in the invite, but we will be talking about the Find It Early Act. We will be mentioning the Early Act, depending on if it's gotten passed or not at that point, and just have a meaningful discussion about why we need this legislation to pass. There's over 32 states that have passed similar legislation, but we need it at the federal level because, like Caitlin was saying, there is no reason that anyone should be diagnosed at stage 4 when we know that the survival rate, if it's detected early, is high. So thanks for letting me jump on today, Vanessa. And look forward to seeing.
Here.
Yeah. Thanks.
I love Betsy because Betsy always comes with all the information and all the energy, and she's such an incredible individual and advocate. And the work that you do with your organization is just really beyond. And so this is going to be a great day. And as she said, everyone is invited to come. What we always like to say is those of us that are coming as advocates, we like to stand in the back because our hope is that every seat will be filled with a congressional, a staffer of some sort. So that's the goal for that day. So just a quick schedule of events. We're going to be doing advocacy training on the 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. There will be a recording of that if you're not available for that. That will be the first. And we're going to teach you something different this year. We're actually going to have Meredith Singer, who's one of our leaders, join with the G2G team. And we're going to be teaching you how to set up your own meetings. Of course, we'll be there to help you along the way, and then give some talking points about how to do these meetings. I always learn something new, even though I've done so many meetings. So it's very, very, I encourage everyone to join. And then next month's coalition call, September 9th, we will be doing our final advocacy training. We'll be joining together with the menopause and perimenopause group, and we'll utilize that time. We're going to spend 45 minutes really digging into like all of the final prep pieces for this day. The Hill events themselves right now will be a pre-event reception on the 22nd, the breakfast discussion, Hill meetings. We'll have a little in between drinks, food as the Hill meetings end. And then, of course, we'll end with the congressional softball game, which will be super, super excited. It was so much fun last year. Also, we have new shirts, which we're really excited about. So we have women's health advocate shirts, and we also have new breast cancer early detection shirts. In the back, our voices, our power. Really, our goal this year is to help people lean into the importance of voting. And this is part of that. So when you register this year, you will be asked to purchase a shirt. So last year we gave shirts away, which we love giving stuff away, but it is incredibly expensive to do that. So instead of asking for people to pay for the Hill Day and to come to DC, we're really asking people to purchase their own shirts. So you'll be asked to do that when you register. And then there will be opportunity for other individuals to get shirts as well. Also, you can tell people that you're attending. And I also want to say you can tell people that you're supporting. So just because you're not able to come to DC, of course, we hope you can. We're hoping to have like 100 people. That would be amazing. But you can support. So, and you can still post about it and tell everyone to support and send letters. So if you scan the QR code here, You will get a template that you'll be able to upload your own photo. I'm sure Leslie Cohen's going to be very happy that I showed her picture here. And then you can fill in, why you're attending, or you can say, I'm supporting because, and then post that everywhere and certainly tag us in those posts. A few upcoming events before we end. As I said before, the Perimenopause and Menopause Capitol Hill Day is going to be on September 22nd. And I mean, anyone who's a breast cancer survivor or has experienced breast cancer on this call knows this. But if you don't, 70% of premenopausal women diagnosed with breast cancer will experience early or premature menopause as a direct result of their chemotherapy and adjuvant treatments. So, it makes a lot of sense that these 2 days are right next to each other because, our whole bodies are affected by breast cancer, and every woman experiences menopause at some point. So for those of you who haven't experienced it, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's going to happen. But we can get through it, and that's why this is so important. On August 27th, we're going to be doing our next My Voice, Our Health webinar. These have been incredible. You can see all of the past ones on the G2G site and also on YouTube. This one will be on reproductive and maternal health, so certainly register for that or plan on watching it at some point, and please share, let other people know that this is happening. And we also have a congressional briefing coming up. Again, something else that's really important when it comes to breast cancer and the effects of a lot of the treatments we have. Sexual health. We're going to have an incredible online congressional briefing on Tuesday, August 18th. So I encourage you to sign up for that. Encourage you to call your representative's office and ask them to sign up for it. And then just a reminder of the days that we have coming up. Also, the links to the hotels where you can get a discount if you're coming into DC for the events on either the 22nd or the 23rd. And a reminder, early detection save lives. I mean, we've heard it over and over again, but it is true. Help us recruit co-sponsors for all of the legislative asks that we have. Write a letter, go to womenshealthadvocates.org. Write a letter. Even if you've done it before, you can do it again. Writing letters, you can keep doing it. And if it's possible, learn your family's breast health history. Not everyone has access to all of their health history, but whatever access you do have, knowing your breast health history is very, very important. And then share your why with other people. Talk about this. It's important that we talk about it. Thank you to our sponsors. We could not do any of this work without our sponsors. It is, incredibly expensive to do the lobbying and to gather people together and to do the events across the country. And so many people volunteered their time for this. And so we're thankful for the volunteers and also thankful for the individuals and organizations that are sponsoring. You can learn more about sponsoring on Women's Health, womenshealthadvocates.org. Also about how to donate if you want to donate through a nonprofit. And then thank you. We don't have time for questions today, but please email us if you have questions. Definitely follow us on all of the socials, and we will see all of the steering committee members on the next call, and we will see all of you hopefully at the advocacy training and then certainly at next month's call. Thank you so much, everyone.